encourage folks to think bigger than just market structure and stable coins. I think we could see a massive crypto bill move.
This episode is brought to you by BitGo, which is a top-tier crypto custodian that has been in the industry since 2013. It's headed up by Mike Belshue, who's a Web 1.0 and 2.0 legend. BitGo provides incredible services in addition to custody. They allow you to manage your tokens, get all types of liquidity, and much more. And some of the companies that use BitGo include Bitstamp Exchange, SWE, the token project, Pantera Capital, that's Dan Moorhead, as well as 21 Shares, which issues Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs. Some of the great services that BitGo provides includes wallet services, which is secure, trusted, scalable wallet solutions, Prime services, which allows you to get seamless access to liquidity and capital. It also allows you to list, manage, and grow your ecosystem. And they have what's called the Go Network, which is a secure real-time global settlement. Recently, BitGo launched a retail platform that allows you to trade, stake, and of course, custody your crypto assets. And this is a great solution because it provides you with top-tier crypto security, and security is, of course, a big factor in investing in crypto. And BitGo is offering an incredible incentive as they launch this platform where you can get a chance to win Bitcoin. They're giving away at least one Bitcoin every quarter. So if you sign up and have funds on the platform through the last day of each quarter, starting December 31st, 2024, you can be eligible to win some free Bitcoin here. So if you'd like to learn more about BitGo, go to bitgo.com. Link will be in the description. Welcome into the Thinking Crypto podcast. I'm your host, Tony Edward, and my guest today is Cody Carbone, who's the president at the Digital Chamber. Cody, great to see you.
Great to see you as always, Tony. Thanks for having me.
Cody, lots of questions for you because we've got a lot going on in DC around crypto, a lot at the SEC and much more. Let's talk about some of the hearings. There is a crypto hearing this week, called Exploring Bipartisan Legislative Frameworks for Digital Assets. Tell us about that.
It's so fun to see digital asset subcommittee now in Senate banking. You know, the House took the charge by starting the subcommittee in House Financial Services and House Ag, and now we have one in Senate banking and Senate Ag. It's really the four corners of the legislative process for crypto coming together. And so the Senate Banking Digital Assets Subcommittee, led by Senator Lummis, the crypto queen herself, is kicking off the conversation in the Senate with this first hearing Wednesday of this week, February 26th. This is going to be focused on market structure legislation. It's how do we move forward with a bipartisan market structure bill that creates the jurisdictional lines between the SEC and the CFTC. I'm sure stablecoins will come up as well, but market structure really is the foundation here. The Senate wants to move something. Everyone wants to move something. And so Senator Lummis is saying, all right, from the get-go, I want to make sure that we do this in a bipartisan fashion. This is digital assets. This is technology at its core. It should not be partisan. Republicans have taken the lead for some time now, but there's an opportunity for Democrats to have a seat at the table. And this hearing is really to flesh out what kind of ideas can we see that both sides of the aisle can get behind. How can we move a legislative proposal in the first 6 months, 8 months, but this year, definitely. And so I'm glad that Senator Lummis is bringing everyone together to start that conversation right out of the gate.
Oh, for sure. And would it be a version of the FIT 21 bill, or I know there was the Lummis-Gillibrand version. So I'm assuming it's the FIT 21.
Everything's on the table. While we're not starting from scratch per se, as you alluded to, we have legislative proposals that moved. FIT had the most progress out of any bill related to digital assets over the last ever by passing the House with 73 Democrats supporting it last May. So FIT is probably the starting place. Don't get me wrong. Everyone is looking at FIT right now and seeing where can we refine it? Where are there provisions of FIT that maybe are outdated or that don't fit neatly with some of the innovative tech that is going on in this space? And so we're looking at FIT. We're looking at the Responsible Financial Innovation Act. That's the Lummis-Gillibrand bill. We're looking at the Digital Commodities Act that Senator Stabenow put out last year before she retired. We're looking at all of those various proposals and saying, okay, what can we grab from each to hopefully have a perfect is a stretch. We're probably never going to get perfect, but a really good legislative work product that we can all coalesce around. So I imagine during the hearing this week, you'll still see bits and pieces, but it's probably right to say we're going to start with fit, build on top of that, see where we can grab from the other legislative pieces.
Mm. And then just a couple of weeks ago, David Sachs, the White House crypto czar, held a press conference with Tim Scott, French Hill, a bunch of other folks from the different parts of the government. And one of the things that was brought up was could crypto be attached to a farm bill, or could it go through directly by itself? Tim Scott seemed to allude to that it could go through by itself.
I think that's right. I think it's unlikely that gets attached to something else. This will likely be a larger bill. I would encourage folks to think bigger than just market structure and stable coins. I think we could see a massive crypto bill move. The goals, which are very ambitious, is that folks want to move stable coins first. They think we're further along. We've already seen various proposals get introduced this year with, I know we'll talk about it later, but Genius Act, Stable Act, the Waters Bill. And so folks want to move stable coins first and then turn to market structure. And really that ambitious goal is, can we get this done by August recess? And so I think we'll see a large standalone product. This bill is already huge. If you remember FIT, it's over 200 pages. The Lummis-Gillibrand bill is almost 200 pages. This is already massive. And so I think that folks are very focused. This is a priority. We heard in that press conference, Chairman Hill, Chairman GT Thompson say, hey, yes, there are a lot of competing priorities. We've got budget reconciliation that is going on in both chambers. We've got the debt limit to address. Government funding expires in 3 weeks. However, that won't interfere with what we're trying to do on digital assets, that we are moving these simultaneously. And that's why we're seeing these hearings come up so quickly in the new year. I mean, it's no surprise we had a digital asset subcommittee, and one of the first hearings in Senate banking is a subcommittee hearing there. Same thing in the House side. We had a subcommittee hearing in the digital asset subcommittee hearing committee. Last week or 2 weeks ago now, we had a choke point hearing related to crypto. This is a priority for these committees. And so I would take everything out and say, okay, we're going to focus very narrowly on digital asset legislation, and it probably will move by itself. Now, timelines, if this goes till the end of the year, maybe it gets attached to one of those larger must-pass packages. But they really want to move this quickly. They want to move something, whether it's stable coins first in the first 100 days or market structure by August recess, and they want to move them as standalone bills.
And then since we're on the topic, let's talk about Senator Haggerty's Genius Act. And I saw he got some Democrat support recently on that. And we know there's a geopolitical aspect to stable coins and maintaining the dollar as the world reserve currency. So there's some urgency here. Do you think that may get pushed through by Q2?
I think so. I really do. I know that's ambitious, and the legislative process is unforgiving. Anytime I think something could move in the first 100 days or 3 months, it is always pushed. But there really is momentum here. I mean, the fact to see that this is already a bipartisan product and that they're adding Democratic co-sponsors here. I'm imagining Republicans will coalesce around this. And then you've got a product that was introduced that is not too dissimilar in the House with the Stable Act. And then you've got the ranking member of the House Financial Services Committee, Maxine Waters, introducing her own bill. That just shows the momentum behind this. And so the Senate moved first. They came out with the Genius Act. You've got now 2 Democrats on board. That list will grow. There's going to be legislative hearings on this very, very soon. The goal is to have something to the president's desk by April, by the end of the first 100 days. I think that is a possibility. I really do. You mentioned the US dollar and the geopolitical component of this. There is now a strong, pervasive belief, and we've been pushing it from the industry side for so long, that stablecoin regulatory framework in the United States can only strengthen the US dollar. Other jurisdictions are desperate to have access to the US dollar, and they can't get it through traditional methods. And so how they're getting it is through US stablecoins, which is incredible. This is the future of the economy. This is the digital economy. It is how we continue to preserve the US dollar as the world reserve currency status. And so there's a lot of momentum behind this. And so I imagine stablecoin legislation, whether it's the Genius Act or the Stable Act, I'm sure it's going to be some compromise of both. Again, they're not too dissimilar. And I'm sure there will be components of Maxine Waters legislation in that final product too. But I really do think this will be something that will move very, very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other day I saw Nick Carter share a chart where it shows, China has been a big holder of US treasuries, but that's been on the decline. But stablecoin issuers, it's on the incline, where they are holding a lot of treasuries. And if we get stablecoin legislation through, that number could skyrocket and only benefit the US from multiple angles.
Yeah, I mean, we have to do this. You mentioned it's a U.S. competitiveness thing as well. I mean, China, they have their own central bank digital currency, and they're saying, "Oh, we're not going to get involved in stable coins." Hong Kong is now coming out with their own stable coin, and you don't think China has some kind of play there? I mean, they want to compete with the United States. This is our way to compete. This is our way to make sure that jurisdictions around the world are continuing to use the US dollar as their reserve currency. It is the best possible thing we can do for US economic competitiveness. It is the best possible thing we can do in this digital asset space race. We have to pass a US stablecoin regulatory framework, and we have to ensure that other jurisdictions can continue to have access to the US dollar through stable coins and can issue, outside issuers outside of the US can issue stable coins as well. We need to continue to see that. And I think we will very quickly.
Mm. All right, so let's talk about the SEC. We got big news last week that from Coinbase that the SEC is dropping their case, going to dismiss it, and also the Opensea case is getting dismissed. And then this morning we heard that Robinhood,
Robinhood.
yeah. So it seems like the as Hester Person, the crypto task force, they are doing a complete 180 from the Gensler era.
I think that's right. I mean, even the fact that we're talking about a crypto task force at the SEC and it is not some nefarious actor, it is not some enforcement office at the agency is incredible. They have been very transparent. They have a full meeting log of everyone they are meeting with. Hester Peirce continues, it seems like weekly now, will put out some kind of statement or ask, request for comment. She put out 48 questions last week on how to create a regulatory framework for the digital asset space. They're being very thoughtful about this. And I think one of the things that everyone was looking to from this new administration, from this new SEC, is how are they going to handle some of the ongoing litigation and enforcement actions. And we are starting to see within the first, 30 days of this admin that they are starting to either stay or outright dismiss some of the non-fraud related cases. And I think that's all everyone could have asked for. We wanted to see this. We wanted to see that regulatory clarity. We wanted to see good actors just hopefully have a peace of mind and get this weight off their shoulders that they're not continuing to fight this really nefarious litigation and this regulation by enforcement regime. We're starting to see the end of that. It will be a slow drip. There's a lot of pending cases out there. Gensler was very, very busy.
Yeah.
So it'll take some time, but the fact that we're already talking about 1, 2, 3 cases, whether it's Coinbase, Opensea, Robinhood, it's fantastic news. And I imagine some of those Wells notices that went out at the end as well, we likely won't see further action on. The SEC is being very thoughtful at this. They're taking a look at everything that happened over the last 4 years and saying, okay, how can we right these wrongs and how can we do so quickly? It is an incredible sea change. It really is. And the SEC, one of their main goals, and I know just from talking to them, was to rebuild trust
Yeah.
right out of the gate. How do we rebuild trust with the American public? How do we rebuild trust with the digital asset industry? And I think they're getting an A+ so far. They have been, again, very thoughtful on doing that. They are open for business. They are open and welcoming to having people come in and talk to them. You can go in now and not, be scared that you're going to get some enforcement action or letter as soon as you leave the building. And so it's an awesome, awesome sight to see.
Absolutely. Such a breath of fresh air, how things are
Yes.
changed and how things are progressing. And I'm assuming we may hear possibly this week the Kraken case, updates on the Kraken case, and others, Uniswap and so forth. That would be really great. And just provide that clarity for the market where people don't have that uncertainty or that dark cloud hanging over. Um, and I wanted to ask you because a lot of people have been asking this question, when will Paul Atkins be in office?
It's a good question. I don't know for sure. My hope is very, very soon. I am hoping that hearings start in the Senate Banking Committee over the next few weeks. We see that they are prioritizing some higher level agency heads right now and some deputy secretaries. I know Paul has been doing the rounds in the Senate, meeting the various senators of the Senate Banking Committee, and in addition to other committees, folks that will be voting on his nomination. If you look at the previous administration, Gary Gensler was sworn in at the end of April of the first year of the Biden administration. I'm hoping that we'll see that be a little bit expedited, that hopefully within the next month we can see Paul be confirmed. But we should know about his hearing schedule shortly, and then the process should move within a few weeks after that. So I'm hopeful that within the first, week or two of March, we're talking about, oh, that was a great hearing. We're very excited. And then we see a vote shortly after that. So I'm hopeful in the next 30 days that Paul Atkins will be confirmed.
Got it. And then on the CFTC side, we got a nomination of Brian Quintenz as the chair, which I'm in favor of. I've spoken to Brian over the years, and he's a very smart guy, understands crypto. What are your thoughts on that nomination?
That's fantastic. I mean, just again, that we have crypto champions going into these very important positions. These positions that we're discussing from the legislative perspective will regulate the entire digital asset markets, whether it's the SEC or the CFTC. And there's a lot to sort out still. But having those resources and those wealth of knowledge, folks at the CFTC and the SEC, being able to influence the conversation as well legislatively. I mean, Brian is an expert in digital assets. The fact that we can say that the incoming CFTC chair is an expert in digital assets is incredible. Brian has worked well with the previous administration. He has deep knowledge of the CFTC. This isn't some fringe pick, but the fact that he has been working for digital asset regulatory clarity over the last few years is incredible. And I imagine that Brian and Paul will work very closely together. They are both steeped in digital asset knowledge. They understand the pain points of this industry. They understand how the regulatory apparatus works because they've both been at their various agencies as commissioners. They're fantastic picks. So I think Brian will do an incredible job. I know he's got a tough job ahead of him. There is a lot of questions that need to be answered, again, to the CFTC's role as it relates to regulating this industry. I don't think there's anyone better for the job. And so I'm excited to see how he interacts with not only the industry that he's been a part of for so long, but how he interacts with Congress, how he interacts with the other commissioners, how he interacts with the other agencies like the SEC. And I think if you're looking for regulatory clarity, there have been no better picks than the market regulators at the SEC and CFTC for the digital asset space.
For sure. Yeah, I'm excited to see these folks get into office and get going. It's just exciting times, and sometimes I have to pinch myself. Like, is this real? Like, after the
I know
past
I'm
four
waiting.
years.
I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. I really am. But no, it's really exciting, and the enthusiasm and the optimism in DC is an all-time high. But expectations are sky high. And so we have a small window of when we can get something done legislatively. And I will always stress that we need to get something done legislatively. Yes, it's fantastic that we've got a friendly SEC now. It is fantastic that we have a friendly CFTC and a friendly just administration overall. However, we have seen what an unfriendly administration looks like. And if you don't have legislation that can stand the test of time and, go from administration to administration and have that clarity, then you're in trouble. And so I'm looking at that we really have a window of this year to get something done, because who knows what will happen in the 2026 election. Maybe we won't get a friendly Senate or a friendly Congress overall. Maybe the tide changes. We need to get something done this year. It seems like the momentum, everyone wants to take advantage of it. There is motivation to get something done this year. And so I'm very, very hopeful, fingers crossed, but expectations are sky high. So we need to act now.
Yeah, well said. And like you said, the legislation that stands the test of time, regardless of who comes into office or goes, but we have that foundation in place. Speaking of legislation, I got to ask you about this, and I want to give the context because I don't want people to get the wrong idea. I believe in the free market and people being able to invest in what they want. They want to invest in meme coins. You want to go to Vegas and gamble. You want to play the lottery. All good. But what we've seen is that a lot of bad actors are taking advantage of the meme coin market. and doing all kinds of shady stuff, rug pulling people. It's getting kind of crazy, and
Yeah.
people are getting the sentiment. It's like dragging the sentiment down the market. Are you hearing anything in DC? Maybe the SEC or some other agency are going to start targeting these bad actors.
I haven't heard that. We saw the White House crypto czar David Sachs come out and says that he believes meme coins are collectibles, that they are not securities, they are, not commodities. They shouldn't be regulated by either the market regulators, that they are collectibles, which are regulated under the FTC. We saw Hester Peirce come out and say that she believes they're not securities. So I hear you and I understand the frustration. I think I share it. I don't think it's best for the industry. I believe it is a reputational hit when we don't necessarily need it. Now, I think there are use cases for meme coins that I think should be expanded on and should be studied. I think the Trump coin is pretty interesting and what a celebrity or a political candidate can do, and how they can interact with their supporter groups. But in terms of all of the use cases and applications that we've been building for the last 10 years, meme coins are low on my list. And I think they're low on the list that we want to amplify in DC and educate policymakers on. So I don't know what's going to happen in terms of meme coins, in terms of regulation. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see action at the federal level, because I think they've been very clear. We think these are collectibles. There's already a regulatory framework, and there's unfair, deceptive acts, fraud protection regimes at the federal level and at the state level. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see anything at the federal level in terms of action. However, the states, we could see things at the state level. The states always like to act, especially blue states right now. When there is a Republican administration, they like to fill the gap if they see that there's a regulatory void. So take a look at what New York may do as it comes to meme coins. Take a look at what California may do when it comes to meme coins. Maybe we'll see enforcement actions. Maybe the state securities regulators might get involved. But I think at the federal level, we're in a wait and see pattern, and hoping, to your point, the free market can shake itself out, that folks will start to see that, hey, maybe there's better uses of my money, or maybe not. And maybe there's a new meme coin that explodes, but whatever, people can do what they want with their money and they will face the repercussions themselves. I'm like you, I'm a free market capitalist. So be it, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see guidance or maybe some educational materials, but I wouldn't expect any regulatory decision in the near term at the federal level as it relates to meme coins.
Yeah, and to your point, like the agencies who go after bad actors, whether it's a casino that's doing the bad thing or whatever, right? Any type of business that exists in the United States that's rugging people or stealing their funds.
Yeah.
The infrastructure is there to already address this. But I'm just curious which agency would go after it, because it's not the technology, it's the bad actors, right? There's like the Trump meme coin, they put out a full portfolio breakdown, allocation. You had details, you had disclosure, if you want to call it that, and you knew where it was coming from. A lot of these stuff that is being launched on pump.fun, you don't know who it is. Like they tried to scam me, like they tried to create a token around me. How do I even stop that? You know
That's
what I mean?
You said something that like I want to just like circle, underline, define for everyone. It's not the technology. It is not the technology. It is just the scammers, the fraudsters that we've had in our financial markets for, unfortunately, forever, since the creation of the markets. And so, to your point, we do have the underlying legal structure to go after those bad actors. We have fraud rules on the book from the FTC, at the DOJ, at the CFTC. We have them at the state level, the Unfair Deceptive Acts Practice Act. And so there is existing infrastructure to go after those bad actors. I would hope that those law enforcement agencies will go after those bad actors, those folks who are committing crimes that we already have statutes for on the book. I hope that they don't conflate this with the technology, which we've seen, unfortunately, for the last 10 years. That folks say, oh, this is blockchain technology, this is crypto. No, this is a traditional scammer, fraudster. It's the same thing we saw with FTX and SBF. This is old school classic fraud, or this is old school classic rug pulls. So I'm hoping that we use our existing statutes to go after those bad actors, and hopefully we see the market rectify itself a little bit and the free markets win out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Cody, great stuff, man. Always appreciate your insights and knowledge. And I know the chamber has a summit coming up next month, the DC Blockchain Summit. Tell us a bit about that before we go.
March 26th, DC Blockchain Summit. This is our eighth summit. It is the largest policy digital asset conference in the entire world. It's in Washington, DC. Tickets are running out very quickly. We have a ton of members of Congress coming. We have a ton of folks from the new administration coming, in addition to industry leaders, and in addition to Tony and myself. We'll both be there. But, I would encourage everyone, get your ticket now. We're just a month out and really tickets are running out. We're really excited. This is the first crypto policy conference of the new administration. So it's going to be an opportunity to hear directly from those new regulators, from those members of Congress who are leading on these issues in hopes of passing legislation really, really quickly. DCBlockchainSummit.com. Get your ticket today.
Awesome. Everyone, I'll put a link in the description. Go check it out. Thanks again, Cody.
Thanks, Tony.